I'd like to call to order the Common Council meeting for March 10th, 2026 at 6:03 p.m. Attendance roll call.
Alderpersons Wolf,
Here.
Hamel,
Here.
Decker,
Here.
Bryce, here, Schrader, here, Dilge,
Here.
Madden.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law on Friday, March 6th, 2026.
Thank you. Public comment.
She wants this one, not that one.
So this one's, oh, okay, sorry. Public comment. This is an opportunity for residents and taxpayers to speak on agenda items if they filled out a form. I have one form for tonight. Kathy Cheverati wants to speak on item 14.
Thank you. Do I have to repeat name and address?
To Test Corners Volunteer Fire Department.
Oh, further down.
Yes.
Kathy Cheverati, West 129, South 8837, Boxhorn Reserve Drive. I'll be short. I've been obviously sitting in the meetings, and I know this has been deferred a couple times, and here in front of you, I don't know if you're aware, but the fire department as a nonprofit, 501c4, I think they file a 990. So I know I think you were looking for the donations. There's total dollar amount each year on those, so you can get those. I printed the last one, and of course I left it on my counter to give you, but they're available publicly. So I don't know why this hasn't been communicated earlier, that you don't even need this in an agreement. It's already available to you. So just wanted to let you know. Thanks.
That concludes public comment. Communications from the mayor's office. That was given to the council regarding the test corners. The road program, I just want to touch base with that. We did get some bids back. Scott and his team are still reviewing them, but the news is very good. We're going to get about a 20% savings per mile by doing the essentially bulk buying that we're doing this year. So that's a substantial savings, and we'll be able to tackle quite a bit of the roads this year. So it's working out so far, but that will be coming forward in a future council for approving the bids. Public hearing. Public hearing to consider the adoption of the City of Muskego 2035 Comprehensive Plan, 2035 Future Land Use Map, and associated ordinance amendments to the City of Muskego Municipal Code, Chapter 380, Sections 380-1 and 380-3. Adam.
Thank you, Mayor. So we're happy and glad to finally be having this public hearing tonight. It's been a long-awaited process. It was almost now 2.5 months ago that we first brought this up to the Common Council. This was first presented to the Common Council as the first reviewers back on December 16th. This was then provided for public viewing December 17th at the library, City Hall, on our website. It was provided to the Plan Commission for review on December 18th. It was, then we had a public open house on this on February 11th, and now we're at the public hearing. So comprehensive plan, the 2035 comprehensive plan is really an update to the 2020 comprehensive plan. Per state law, municipalities are required to have a comprehensive plan. The plan that we adopted in 2009 was the 2020 plan. That plan was a complete rewrite. But a lot of work was put into it, and it gave that plan great bones, which has treated us really well through these years. There have been amendments done between that time and this time when different applicants had questions that they wanted to try to have amended that went through the hearing process, which led us to where we are today with the 2035 plan. A comprehensive plan in general is a guide. It's a blueprint for the city's future growth. It helps guide the type, location, and appearance of development over the city over the next 10 years in looking at just general long-term goals and objectives for the city. The plan itself, many people just think of a future land use plan, which is a really big key part of it. But more importantly, it's a huge analysis document. Hopefully you've all looked through it. Hopefully the public's looked through it. You're gonna see it's a lot of documentation. It's a lot of statistics. It's a lot of data. It helps us know where we've been. It helps us know where predictions are trending. And this plan was, like I said, a well-needed update, as is required to be updated. And it's a good inventory of where we're at as far as things, even things as simple as where are schools, where are churches, where are medical facilities, where are populations going, different items like that. But as was mentioned, one of the most important things and one of the things that a lot of people think of is the future land use map. The land use map itself has remained significantly the same as the 2020 plan, obviously subject to any amendments that have been made over the years. That plan, like I said, has had great bones because you're always planning really further than the plan says. You know, when we put together that 2020 plan in 2009, we weren't forecasting just 5 or 10 years. You're really trying to look longer picture, but this is a check to kind of make sure we're trending in that same direction. So you're going to notice that the land use plan is significantly the same. There were only actually 3 areas in the plan that had slight land use designation changes. They were outlined in your council memo that will be available on the website too. Basically, 2 of those areas were areas that we realized via a sewer study had more capacity or better capacity to be serviced by city sewer. And sewer usually equals density and smart planning. So one of those areas is basically in the north central part of the city between Park Arthur and the backside of like the Moreland Corridor Business Park. The second area is an area kind of in the southeast part of the city, just west of Muskego Country Club, in area 2, where the sewer has ability to be serviced where we didn't think it would before. So that was an area. Both of those areas are being changed to medium density residential. And there was a property owner request to change a property in the Racine Avenue commercial corridor from medium density residential to commercial in a commercial corridor. So these are all presented in the packet for the council meeting tonight. It includes the plan itself. It includes links to the website where we have all the different data, kind of what we've gone through to get here. In general, with the plan that was sent out, staff has not received, and generally, no comments are good comments, right? You know, that means we're doing something right, we like to think, because if people have concerns or questions, hopefully they ask us about it. That's why we've had this plan available for 2.5 months. We have not received any specific negative comments. We've definitely received a couple questions, and I'll say a couple because it's been very few. At our counter in our window, we probably had 2, 3, 4 people come up and ask some questions about the comp plan, and most of them were just inquisitive. At the open house we had about a dozen people show up. And same thing there. It was a lot of just general questions and more inquisitiveness about what was happening. And we've also had the ability for comments via email, in person, or a Dropbox on our counter, which we've received little to no comment. So once again, I like to think that means positive feedback is people weren't complaining. There definitely were some clarifications and questions asked about a few areas of the city where there's some questions about what kind of uses are allowed or what does the comp plan do versus zoning. One of the things that's really important to note is a comp plan and zoning aren't the same thing. The zoning is more specific. The zoning dictates specific uses that can happen on a property. The comp plan doesn't do that. The comp plan doesn't trump the zoning code. The comp plan doesn't supersede it. It just sets general guidelines, and the zoning code then helps narrow that down to exact uses. Just because a comp plan recommends something, that may never happen. It's all at the will of a landowner. The city will never force a landowner to develop the way the comp plan suggests. It's just a guide, and what's always going to prevail in the end is the zoning code and whatever requests future applicants request as amendments. As part of this process, the ordinance section 380-1 and 380-3 of chapter 380 of our municipal code does need to be updated. It needs to be updated just to reflect this new plan that is happening. So with that, I'm very proud to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan. It's something that a lot of time has been put into, a lot of options for comment, a lot of options for the public, a lot of stuff on our website, and we think it will be a helpful tool to help grow the community in a healthy direction.
Thank you, Adam. So before we start, just want to point out that there's a few of you standing in the back of the room. I know a lot of it's staff, but there's a couple of you that aren't. It's just like church, there's lots of room in front. If you guys want to come up and have a seat, you're welcome to. We won't preach to you. So now speaking of preaching, I am going to open this public hearing up. So anyone who'd like to be heard on this matter, please come forward, state your name, address. Can you say your address relatively slow? And if you have one of those Polish names like myself or something a little harder to say, could you spell it for the clerk so we have it for prosperity's sake? So who'd ever like to come up and go first?
Why not? My name is Jim Galezeski, conventional spelling. Galezeweski. I live at South 98 West 13780 J Drive. That's in the at Muskego Lakes Condo Association. I am the president of the Condo Association. And I was authorized by our board to address you guys today on behalf of our condo association. You might have seen over the past few weeks, there have been a lot of emails flying back and forth about this whole thing. And emails have a way of multiplying. So I got an awful lot of emails that I read from our own residents and from other folks as well. One of the things that I read, unfortunately, in some of the emails was comments regarding other people's purpose or intention or what they're really after and what they're really trying to do. And you can't really ascertain that, I don't think, unless you can read minds, which is a talent I don't have. So I thought I'd start tonight by just explaining my intention and purpose in being here to talk with you tonight. I would say all of our owners at the Glen and Muskego Lakes are heavily invested in the city of Muskego. I used to live in Milwaukee, sorry. We are heavily invested in, and by heavily invested in the city, I mean we paid a lot of money for our units that we live in. And like most people in America, for most of us, our biggest single investment in our lives is our house. And because of that, we would like to protect that investment and make sure that it maintains its value. That's my first purpose. The second purpose is more important than that, and that is to ensure the health, safety, and well-being of our community. And I think everybody here probably shares that. What is government for if they can't protect our health, safety, and well-being? Which brings me to the part of the plan that is of concern to us. Specifically in the future eco-industrial note on page 117 of the plan, they recommend specific kinds of business that would be appropriate for that area, which included producers of composite and recycled material. So when I saw the recycled material, producers of recycled material, and I think most of you already know the story, but we had a place nearby that was recycling concrete and spewing concrete dust into the air, which is a highly toxic material. And that kind of set us all on high alert for anything that might be potentially dangerous. So when we say, and this place was shut down, as it should have been, from the recycling that they were doing, but we're looking at this and saying, but it's in the plan. Why is this in our long-term plan if it's not the plan? So, but concrete isn't the only thing. Not being a big industrial guy, I just Googled asphalt and said, Google, what are the hazards of recycling asphalt? And Google said, recycling asphalt or reclaimed asphalt pavement poses hazards primarily through the release of toxic carcinogenic fumes and dust during heating and processing. Key dangers include respiratory illnesses from silica dust, potential hydrogen sulfide gas release, skin irritation, and so on. So I didn't go through everything that anybody could possibly recycle. But then I said, let's look at composite materials. What kinds of hazards might we face from composite materials? And Google said, producing composite materials in Wisconsin involves significant hazards related to toxic air emissions, combustible dust, worker exposure to hazardous chemicals. Key risks include respiratory issues from fiber inhalation, skin irritation, and high VOC emissions. Now I understand, and Adam has said in a number of his emails that zoning provides kind of guardrails for what people can and cannot do specifically on the property. But here we have, but the zoning is supposed to follow and be consistent with what's in the plan. So if somebody were to come along 8 or 10 years from now, Adam, in an email that I just read this morning, that was forwarded to me, said he couldn't imagine a common council ever approving something like the concrete crushing. Maybe not. And I don't doubt him. but I have a better imagination than Adam has. And I can imagine people doing all kinds of things 8 or 10 years from now because they're not here, they don't know the story. And to tell you the truth, we don't know who's going to be an alderman 8 or 10 years from now. We don't know who's going to be on the planning commission. We don't know who the mayor will be. So what are they going to do? Nobody knows. So because he can't imagine that, doesn't give us a lot of reassurance that it wouldn't happen, or that some developer wouldn't come along and say, I want this rezoned for this, and here, it's in your plan. It's consistent with the plan. So that is our concern. 6 words. This is a 136-page plan. There are 6 words that we are worried about. It wouldn't take a lot of effort to remove those 6 words. And those 6 words are the ones that I mentioned before that describe those kinds of processes, the recycling, what's the other one? Composite materials, the recycling and the composite materials. That's 6 words in a 136-page plan. If you were to take out those 6 words, I'd be a happy guy. I'd give you a high five and say, great job on the plan. But we are all concerned, and maybe our concern was highlighted by that incident that we already experienced. But I think it's a legitimate concern, and I think our owners should be able to have that confidence that would be added by taking that language out. With that, thank you for your time and attention. Have a good evening.
Thank you. So whoever wants to go next, come up. As they're coming up, I just want to, I think most of you know this, but public hearings are one way. So you guys talk at us. We can't answer any of your questions. However, we are taking notes. Adam's taking notes. And later on in the agenda, we will be discussing, we're having the first reading of this ordinance. Those questions will then be addressed, and there'll be discussions among the council at that time. So if you come up and, you know, like I said, your information's one way. We're not ignoring you. There's a different part of the agenda where we'll be able to talk to you. So that being.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, we moved to, my name is Ralph Odya, O-D-Y-A, West 139, South 9911. I'm a member of the Glen of Muskego Lakes Country Club as well. And we moved from Milwaukee recently in the last 3 years to join a wonderful community, Muskego. And my wife gives me permission to speak tonight. I won't take a lot of your time, but I would like to talk a little bit, after reiterating everything that John just said, or Jim, in regards to the PJ Trucking Company, who occupies a parcel of land just off of Loomis Road, which is not part of the ecosystem, at least according to Adam, it's not.
So Ralph, I don't want to cut you off, but if you can talk about the plan, like if there's changes to it, but talking about a specific business and the complaints with it, the public hearing really isn't for that. I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have to follow state statutes, and we have specific things you can talk about. In this case, it's the comprehensive plan. So if there's something that.
I don't have anything specific about
Okay.
the plan, just about the potential for the plan to go awry. And public safety.
That you
is
can
what
talk
we're
about,
talking
but talking specifically about a business wouldn't be part of it.
Public safety is my biggest issue, especially health hazards produced by some toxic waste that could be manufactured on certain properties that haven't yet even been created. And so those are things that we urge the committee to watch carefully and to observe and make sure that it's being monitored in an appropriate manner. And that's all that I think that the residents of this committee or this assembly would really appreciate, is a guarantee by the committee that any future plans would be monitored at a much closer rate than they were in the past. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Van Gotham. The address is S97W13172 Champions Drive. Mayor, I think it's very relative that we keep that in play, discussing PJ's Trucking, at least the land that it occupies.
If you can
The
tie
sad
it
part
into
is-
if you can tie it into the comp plan, otherwise we're not up here to
I'm
break.
gonna
We
stick
have
to-
to follow state law. So that's all I'm just saying.
It sticks, it's relative because it encompasses the area that you're referring to.
I will give you some leeway on
Okay,
this. I'm
so-
just trying to make sure you guys don't go off. In the,
I get it. You shot me out of the saddle and you were right. But either way, before I begin, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And everybody else here, thank you for taking time out to show that you're concerned. If I could have raised of hands, who's from the subdivisions? Okay. I'm not going to speak for you. I'll be speaking for the board of Champions Village. I'll let you guys make the decision as to what you think is best on this comp plan. Thank you. The people of this area do not have an agenda, as has been said. We simply want to keep our residential area beautiful, safe, and in check. We would hope our elected leaders would want the same. I wish I could have handed out more of the documents so you could see what we're talking about, because the sad part is there's a lot of words being said, but you can't see the document, what we're referring to.
Stephen, you have to address the council. That's what the public hearing's for. And we just have to keep on track and follow state law.
I am on track.
Well, but face us and talk to us, please.
But it's a public hearing.
And it's,
Okay.
and there's a
So-
microphone. You have
So I'm
that.
just trying to, make sure that everybody is on the same page.
But every time you turn it, the recording goes
Totally.
off, so those can't watch it, can't hear it. So please talk into the microphone.
Well,
Thank you.
I did ask Adam if we could have something on the screen so people would know what we're talking about. And that's why, regretfully, I wasn't able to get that taken care of. Because the diagram shows that Champions Village is the yellow. And in the diagram, you'll see where this is being proposed. And the sad part is, and a lot of people are confused, if the property is not within 300 feet of the change or the asking of the zoning change, we don't get notification. So a comment came from City Hall saying that, well, you notified, you were notified, but nobody showed up. Well, you're right, because nobody knew what was going on. And regretfully, our common council person did not inform us, so we had no idea that this was occurring. But that was 2.5 years ago. It was approved June 6th, 2023. I'm hoping I got the date right. So again, no one knew. And we won't know in the future either, because we would have to do our own investigation in order to find out if there's anything being done in that area, if it goes through. Either way. That's why I wanted to show kind of where this current company is located. It's a small rectangle in the big pie. And it's in a zone called industrial zoning. The industrial zoning is the smaller aspect of the property, but the larger aspect is what is being recommended for the land use, and that is eco-industrial, and there's lines through it. My question becomes to the council and to the mayor is that we were told over and over again that that was zoned properly. If it was zoned properly, then why all of a sudden is that small section not being zoned eco-industrial, but everything around it? And the question then becomes, well, what changed? That the large area can't be eco or light industrial. So the whole section should be light industrial, because if it was, then we would have a peace of mind knowing that the problem has been solved, because we have gotten direction from the city that that zoning does not allow crushing concrete, but it also doesn't allow hazardous material to be handled either. So to resolve the area, that should be all industrial, light industrial. Because if it's good for that small area, it should be good for the whole large area. It only makes sense. So if the comp plan gets approved, once it's in play, anyone, and including the owner of the previous or of the current company, and I know that Jim mentioned that it's been shut down by the DNR because they have to have permits being done. So they took care of what needed to be done in that property. But if this gets approved, as well as anybody else, what somebody can do is they can come in and say, I'd like to see if I can get zoned for, if it's in play, the eco-industrial. But we have no idea what it is. And then, as Jim said, on page 127 of the comp plan, it says green businesses, producers of composite, recycled materials. And does that include hazardous materials? We just don't know. And that's why we're saying we want this deferred. There are too many questions that are in play that if we don't, we have a right to get those answers, and we should be able to talk to the city and say, in writing, is this going to be allowed or not allowed? A big thing is that we're concerned about the city's response if we're faced again with any company who's not in compliance and is putting our health at risk. So we need safeguards, and I'm asking you to consider to do this. Require recertification of any business approved for any zoning approval for that area. That means that once a year that you take that card out of play, that you go in and you check to make sure that these businesses are doing what they're saying they're doing, because otherwise we'll run into the same problem that we had with the current company that's there. Also, I'll read this statement that's from the state of Wisconsin. A city can take rapid action potentially within 24 hours against a company in violation of a zoning law, especially in a situation constitutes an emergency involving public health safety. The city has the right, once they know that a company is not following the zoning rules, that they can come in within 24 hours. I don't know, is the attorney here today? Okay. You might appreciate this. I'm going to read you something that was sent to me August 21st of 2025. I'm quoting, "I am not about to call either one of you liars. He tells me he only crushing during the day, and he has not run that machine in over a month. He says he stops by 7 p.m. You knew that this company was crushing concrete way back August of 2025, and you did nothing. It took until January 16th before a letter came out from Adam that stated, you can't crush concrete. And the letter that he sent October 31st, 2025, he listed everything that was in there except for one thing. Nothing about concrete. That is our concern. What's that?
You're getting too far into the business details. We can address all this later.
It's all relative. That's why we need transparency. We need further clarification, and we want this deferred.
Stick to the comp plan.
So that's a quote. And I have it on my phone, where you were told that this had occurred. But yet you put the risk of people in this area, and that's uncalled for. Because we had to sit and breathe this garbage for 4.5 months before the city did anything. That was substantial. So I take this opportunity to say thank you for your time and allow me to speak. Thank you.
Kathy Chavarati, West 129, 8837, Boxhorn, Missouri. South and West, sorry, okay. Doing a lot of listening here, and I know, having served as mayor, I understand the process, so I understand their concerns. We go up to 300 feet, and actually the law only requires 100 feet, which is like nothing. So I don't know if it's something that would put the people at ease. It would have to be codified, though. If it's not put in the code, it's going to be meaningless.
Are you addressing the comp plan or zoning?
The comp plan.
Okay, can you get
so that if there's a change, if there's a request by business, say in that eco-industrial area, and they want to do some kind of business related to eco-industrial or change the zoning, whatever, that there's a broader, a longer distance that the notice can be. Again, I would suggest it goes into a code. Maybe that relates to the comp plan because it's a change to the comp plan. And And obviously, I don't have to repeat everything that everyone else said. And I also want to thank Adam. Where are you? Thank you. He was very helpful in answering some of my questions of recent. But again, having been on both sides, I understand the situation, and I do know for fact, having been on that other side, is that once it's zoned something, even if a particular property that seems very singled out, I agree with that, it's a good point, even if that property owner came and asked to have it changed to eco-industrial, that's not an uncommon thing to have happen. So I'm just telling you, it is a slippery slope, so I do understand what everyone's talking about. So I hope you give that consideration. I don't understand eco-industrial. I've done a lot of research like they have. Even a letter that came from the mayor clearly indicated some heavier uses could happen there. So I hope that you consider that and make a change or defer till you can work out all these bugs. Thanks.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Name is Andrew Makarevich, M-A-K-A-R-E-W-I-C-Z. I live on South 97, West 13293 Champions Drive. Concerning the plan, I have the same concerns that Steve and Kathy have. What is it going to take to easily shift that over to eco-industrial? Eco-industrial involves way too much. It can be anything from crushing to like what we've seen. The noise, the lights. I mean, I have videos going back March 13th of my daughter coming down the hallway, woken up by the noise from that area. I have a lot of disappointment in the people that are supposed to be monitoring that area as far as the zoning and all that and what has been going on there. I'm very disappointed. I have a lot of concerns, and I look at how easy it'll be for them to get a DNR permit, even if they aren't even a zone for eco-industrial. I mean, it's so easy. All you got to go is right on the DNR website, and it doesn't matter what the city says. Once it's approved by the DNR, it's pretty much so go. I'm very concerned about that. I don't like the fact of Act 146 on the state laws too. Also talks about how that's all tax exempt, and all that equipment is tax exempt. The city gets nothing out of that. It's very scary stuff. We need to relook at that whole zone and area before we go forward with anything over there. Thank you.
Thank you. So before the next speaker comes up, I do want to clarify the eco-industrial. Adam will explain exactly what that is and what you can and can't do there. I know there's a lot of, might be this, might be that. We will give you, at least to our knowledge, what our definition of it is. You can't go to Webster on what zoning definitions are. What our zoning code says it is what it is and how it pertains to that. So we will be talking about that later tonight. I just want to kind of throw that out there as everyone's coming up talking about this and giving different definitions of something that may or may not be correct. So just want to let you know. Who wants to go next? Man, we got a full room for people here.
Name is John Heindel, H-E-I-N-D-E-L. I'm at S99 W13711 J Drive, part of the Muskego Lakes HOA. I wasn't thinking of speaking. I don't have any notes. But I think, in my view, what really upsets me, and the prior gentleman talked about it, with having something going on there that could impact my health and my family's health, and not have anything done with it for 6 months. And I personally would not have known anything about this without the Champion Village people letting us know what's going on. So that's how, and I've been in the place maybe 2.5 years. So with moving in, I'm oblivious to the political crap going on. But it's terrible to have.
I understand.
Okay, I know you're going to cut me off.
I know, I'm not trying to cut you off. I just want you to stick to the plan. And we will get into the time frame. We'll get into the actual time frame when we get to that, of what that all happened to. But right now, for your public hearing, you got to talk to us about the plan.
But the distrust that's going on. I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
My name is Mike Sobie, S-O-B-I-E. I live at S98 W13766J Drive. And I want to address what you had said about the definition of what this eco-industrial is. So if the plan could include what that eco-industrial is, that may satisfy people today. And like Jim was saying, people in 8 and 10 years, you know what that definition is. You don't have broad words that can be misinterpreted depending on who's looking at it. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else want to come? Stephen, if you want to follow up, you can come up now. Stephen? No one else wants to talk, so I'll give you one more opportunity. We just didn't want to monopolize the microphone, so.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you. You kind of answered our concern because it's not so much that we can't have the dialogue, but Mayor, you want to take this to the planning committee tomorrow to vote on it. That's in 24 hours. If you vote on it, it goes to Common Council, March 24th. Common Council then votes on it. We're saying defer it. There's too much at stake just to ram it through and have the planning committee vote on something so critical in 24 hours. And I think everybody in this room would feel the same way. We'll give you an opportunity to, thank you.
No. We're going to just listen. This is not a cheering section. We're not disagreeing with what he's saying, but we're not here to cheer.
It's a public hearing.
Right. And
it's a public hearing.
It's a public hearing to talk.
Right. And that's fine.
And I'm letting you talk, and we appreciate that. We're here to listen. And we're going to take everything you guys said, and we're going to have it's going to base where our discussions go.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yes.
I just wanted to reiterate one thing because when I said it, I got some funny quizzical sort of looks. When I said 6 words is what our concern was. On page 117 of the plan where it describes the future eco-industrial note, the 6 words are, about halfway down, producers of composite and recycled materials. That's the 6 words. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, or I'm going to declare this public hearing closed? Going once, twice. Declare this public hearing closed. I encourage you all to stick around. We will be talking about this at length, I'm guessing, later on, so don't go running off. All right, moving on with the agenda. Consent agenda, voucher approval. Resolution 015-2026, approval of the We Energies easement agreement. Resolution 016-2026, approval of the building site services consultant. And Resolution 017-2026, approval of a 2-lot land division for Mill Valley Elementary School property located at West 191 South 6445 Hillendale Drive, tax key number 2177931.
Move to approve and close.
Second.
Any items need to be pulled? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes unanimously. New business, Resolution 018-2026, authorization to apply for a municipal flood control grant.
Move to approve.
Second.
This was discussed at Finance Committee meeting. Is there any further questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes unanimously. Resolution 019-2026, acceptance of a Baycom quote for dispatch equipment with the Muskego Police Department.
Move to approve. Second.
Discussion, this is a capital item that was on the capital budget that we need to move forward with. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Unfinished business, Resolution 013-2026, final resolution authorizing area-wide water capacity assessment for water services under Wisconsin statute 66.0703 and potential of levying water capacity assessments against benefited properties, 20th Amendment, WCA District. This is on the floor and deferred. Scott, you want to come up? So Scott provided us with a memo. I hope most of you guys read this. I'm going to let him talk, but before he does, I just want, we kind of gave some direction last time, but there's some things that I think we really need to take into consideration before we give him any final orders. But
just kind of going through that memo I sent you, the water capacity assessment, which is WCA District Amendment Number Area 20, is being driven by the installation of water main for the Kirkland Crossing subdivision. The Kirkland Crossing subdivision developer completed an extension of water main as part of the subdivision project. The water main was extended along Martin Drive, approximately from Oak Hill Trail to Copper Oaks Drive. It is a formal process to amend the water capacity assessment district. The city needs to create an engineering report, a map of the amended area, a legal of the amended area, preliminary and final resolution. The city of Muskego hosts a public information meeting and has a public hearing. The city sends out mailings for both the public information meeting and the public hearing. It takes city staff and funds to make an amendment to the WCA district. Attached is the current city of Muskego WCA district with all the amendments. Common Council directed staff to make larger amended areas to the WCA district when amendment was needed per the committee of the whole that took place on May 14th, 2024. This was done for better planning and cost efficiencies. Amendment 19 to the WCA district was approved by Common Council on February 25th, 2025, approximately a year ago, which followed this process of a larger area. Why is staff recommending it? 1, Kirkland Crossing Phase 1 and 2 needs to hook up to the City of Muskego water utility. This development needs to be in the WCA district. Potential future developments that require water in amended area 20 would already be in the WCA district. In order for a business or resident to connect to the City of Muskego water utility, they need to be in the WCA district. Any revisions to the map would require the City of Muskego to start over. The City of Muskego water utility has spent approximately $17,000 for all the work that has been done. And when I mean to start the process over, I mean all over. Public hearing, public information meetings, all letters, put it in the paper, basically starting the whole process over to make sure that we're being transparent. There is no current or future plan by the City of Muskego to extend water throughout amended Area 20. City staff would have to present all new future water main projects both by the City of Muskego and developers to Common Council for approval. What that means is everything, if we would come up with a water main plan, or if it's development, it first goes to Public Works and Safety Committee, and then you guys all vote on it. There is nothing that I can just sneak in and say, here's a water main plan. You guys all get a crack at it first at the Public Works and Safety, and then you get it at Common Council. A resident or business only pays the WCA assessment after connection is made to the City of Muskego. Being in the Water CA district would make it easier for a resident, business, or private water system to connect to the City of Muskego water utility if there was an emergency situation. Even if a business or resident was in the WCA, the public water system would need to be available to them before a connection would be possible. Also, 2, the City of Muskego's water connection policy is separate from amending the WCA district. Any other questions that you have?
So a couple things I want to point out. I know we talked about maybe amending the map last time to try to just maybe do the area that, encompasses where the water main has to be run. Not realizing that time that if we do any change to it, we're essentially throwing out $17,000 and starting over. So, not that we're not going to listen to people and have $17,000 hold us up on something like that, because a lot of people came and had concerns. However, their concerns weren't so much with the WCA map, they had more concerns with our water connection policy, which is something we can address in the future. The one strong advantage I see of having the larger WCA district is one of the things that Scott mentioned. let's say, we'll use Hillview as an example, or Hillside, I'm sorry. Is it Hillview or Hillside? I don't know, whatever. Those are all in private wells. There is no water main running by them, but there is water main that, if had to happen, could be extended to that area. Say all their wells failed for some unforeseen reason and they needed to have water to have their houses habitable. If they're not in the WCA district, before we can even extend water to them, we have to go through this whole process of creating another amendment and getting them into a WCA district, which can take months. In the meantime, they have no water at their house. There's no downside to having them in there, besides the fact that they're concerned that I'm going to be forced to hook up to water, which there's no water there. And before that would happen, that's something that comes in front of the council and would have to be voted on and approved through multiple processes. Water just doesn't show up at people's doors without multiple actions by this common council. So, for that safety reason alone, I kind of encourage you to keep the WCA district intact of what's proposed. And if the concerns are about the water connection policy we have, that's something we can visit in the future. But that has they go hand in hand, but they really have nothing to do with the actual district or a map. We're looking at drawing a map, and that's about it. Alderman Hamel.
Yeah, I just want to thank Scott, because I called him a couple of times on this, because I had the idea of redoing the map just to include Kirkland. After discussing it with you, and explained things very clearly to me, it sounds like it was probably the best route to go to leave it how it is. Number one, due to the cost for redoing the map. We're all looking to keep the expenses down and as low as possible. Also, as you said, if somebody needs to have water and they're not in a WCA, they need to be put in a WCA first, and that could be who knows how long of a delay with them without getting water. And then not only that, we just did one. The prior one to this one was done in 2017, I believe.
It was 2015. Oh, yeah, the one before that was 2017.
For the school.
For
I
18, that
believe,
was for the
new
middle school.
Yeah.
That was number 18.
And that was basically done for the school, but yet a bunch of people were put into that for.
We did a larger area.
yeah.
We just closed it all off, similar to
what we're trying to do
Yes.
here with 19. And most of those people, I believe, are on private well.
Yes, we never added, since 2017, we never added any new water main in that area. And I believe most of them are still on their well. And the majority of people, or all of them, are still on their well in that area. And that is, I don't know if anyone, that's the new middle school on the east side of the city, just for some residents and some aldermen who weren't here at the time.
That went through like Tudor Oaks or something too as well, right?
Yeah, but they're already in the WCA. That was just to connect it, to make it.
That was a loop.
It was a loop.
Yeah. Alderman Dilge.
I kind of spelled it out at the end of our discussion last week or 2 weeks ago on this topic. There basically, as I saw it, there were two options. You either amended the map and made it a more narrow corridor for the project you're working on, or you approve the map as is, and then we immediately bring the the water connection policy to council for debate and amendment. It sounds like between you and the mayor, you guys have chosen the original, or you've settled on the better option being keeping the map as is and moving forward, which I'm fine with. Nobody in here, when we talked about this, none of the public had a problem being included in the WCA, except for the fact that at some point, water connection was compulsory, maybe not to them, but the people buying their home, which they interpreted that as it's going to be a cost to them at some point in the sale of their home.
Remember, that is if water is available. And why I say that, I mean,
Right.
that is water in front of your house and we can give you pressure.
I understand that, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years, none of us are going to be here, So they're not willing to take your word for it. You're not gonna be here in 20 years.
No,
know,
so
so-
we're following the policy that the common council made at the time.
Right.
So,
So I'm fine approving the map as is, but like I said the last time, I'll petition the mayor to bring the water connection policy to council and we'll debate and amend it.
Any other
Is-
comments? Alderman Schrader.
Is that something that could be done in tandem almost?
no.
We have to
you-
approve this.
Yeah, because
Okay.
you have to have a couple, that's an ordinance, so that has 2 hearings. We should have a pretty good debate on it. Remember, we had a good debate about 3 years ago. We should probably all watch the YouTube video of that meeting, and then we would prepare again all the information that we had. So it will be a good discussion, but it would be something that I would focus on getting this map done first, and then the connection policy would be a separate thing.
Any other conversation? So right now, the resolution is written to approve the map as presented. I'm not seeing any motions to amend it. So I guess. Right, I don't want to waste it. All right, roll call vote.
Hang on a second, I didn't hear what
I'm
you
sorry,
guys,
Alderman Wolf.
I didn't hear what you guys
I just said it's $17,000,
Yeah.
kind of wasted if that's
Okay.
the case.
And on that point, one of the reasons that Scott had brought the whole idea forward to do these larger chunks is because it's pretty much $17,000 if you do a strip or if you do a big section. So, because of the cost and time, there's, maybe $1,000 the other way because you're saving on post. You don't have to mail as many houses and do as many mailings. But, at the time we did one and it was in Alderman Schrader's district. That was our first one where we just pretty much took the whole district and put it in the map and it's fine. Alderman Schrader.
So, and I do remember that vote, and I remember you present, that it was going to save you cost and time and whatnot, but I guess maybe we've got to do it better because there's so much confusion with the letters people are getting or.
And you know
Just-
what? We did have a lot of PIM, people that came for the PIM and they came for the public hearing. A lot of them were the same people that we talked to for a lot of times. It is a difficult thing because we have to follow PSC code with an engineering report. And let me tell you, it's not the easiest thing to read. But usually when we have people come in, we can talk to them and individually sit there and talk to them at the public information meeting and while we have the public hearing, and then we do a preliminary resolution. So we try to reach out to them. And you know what? I had a lot of people come and talk to me for a couple times as well.
What I'm saying is when we mail that, what you have to
Packet.
do, isn't there something that we could just break it down in more of a layman's term to people?
Yeah, we can
Just
work on
make
that
it
for
a
the
little
next
more
time.
user-friendly for
Yeah.
people?
or like an outline or something. Yeah.
We have talked about that internally, about doing a frequently asked questions and, try to make it, there's required language by the PSC that has to be in there that comes, no deference to the attorney sitting next to me, but attorneys can make things a nightmare when you're trying to read things. That, we have to have that in there, but we can go the next step and try to break it down into, Muskego-ese. So, all right, Alderman Wolf.
Who's, what alderman is most of this involved with?
2 and 3,
Which is who?
those two gentlemen next to you.
Both you two?
I'm North of Martin.
And you guys are,
Sit in order.
I mean, I'm going to default on what you guys talk to your people with and your,
I'm fine with it how it is.
okay. I just wanted to double check with the people that get all the information sent to them more than it's going to be sent to me. So, okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Roll call vote.
Alderperson Wolf,
Yes.
Alderperson Hamel,
Yes.
Alderperson Decker,
Yes.
Alderperson Bryce,
Yes, is to approve it how it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Alderperson Schrader,
Yes.
Alderperson Dilge,
Yes.
Alderperson Madden.
Yes.
Passed.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Going on with unfinished business, Resolution 014-2026, approval of the 2026-2027 contract between the City of Muskego and Test Corners Volunteer Fire Department. It's on the floor and deferred from the last meeting. So last meeting was was brought, for the second time it was brought forward. There were some requests from a couple members of the council to add some additional, make some additional changes to the contract. We presented those to the Test Corners Volunteer Fire Department. Essentially, the answer back is the contract that they are proposing to us is the one they're willing to sign. So it's back in your court.
Move to approve?
It's already on the floor for,
Okay.
it's just, yeah. Any further discussion? We are currently without a fire and rescue contract. They are still serving us, but they are not under contract. Alderman Decker.
My main problem with this proposal that they've made now is it come couched with a threat from their attorney. And he states at the end of his letter, he says, however, the fire department needs to have its contractual relationship with the city resolved in the immediate future, and its position on continuing to provide fire protection to the city and its residents without a current agreement may change at any time without notice. Now, that is a very sobering statement.
That is.
I find that very troublesome. It's like basically saying that if you guys don't accept our terms, we could potentially lose the fire service. Now, we had decided a couple meetings ago that we wanted to extend for 90 days our existing agreement. And the council voted to have that done, and it wasn't done. I have a problem with that as well.
So I can't force somebody to sign a contract, and the letter from the attorney states very clearly they're not interested in signing a 90-day extension. Alderman Price.
So I have absolutely no problems, and I haven't had any problems with the agreement that has been brought forth several times from the Test Corners Fire Department. Our volunteer Test Corners Fire Department, they do several things for our community. One, they do provide CPR and first aid classes free of charge for our citizens of Muskego, as well as the DPW, water, and the police department. It is required for police officers to be first aid and CPR certified for their job. They also run a cadet program, which they pair up with the high school, and then they have, some other, 19, 20-year-olds. They send these kids to WCTC to get their Fire 1, Fire 2, and EMT, where they then take them on and give them training. They also help them write resumes and get jobs. Since we do not have full-time fire here, they help them in the way of getting these young kids going into their career. They also partake in our community and support us always. They are a huge part of our national night out. They participate in the Dandelion Parade. They have participated in every single high school state-bound kid send-off for the high school. Elementary schools, all the elementary schools, they come to for a week, might have been 2 weeks. They come and they provide fire education for our elementary students. They also volunteer their time by going to elementary schools when they have like fundraisers for PTOs like the Color Run. They will donate rides in the fire truck to school as prizes to help raise money, which then goes straight into the PTO or school's pocket because a free ride in a truck doesn't cost the PTO anything. The fire department also, 2 years ago in 2023, donated $40,000 worth of AEDs, the external, we all know what the AED is for defibrillation, to the Department of Public Works, the Parks Department, the Water Department, and there were a couple of squads that didn't have AEDs in them. So they donated $40,000 and supplied and helped outfit those. They're a volunteer fire department. And they save us a lot of money by not having in-house full-time fire provided by the city. We pay them a very nominal fee. They provide us excellent services. They're a private entity. If they choose to want to just give us a quarterly report on what they get in donations, then so be it. It's fine. Like it's been said several times, you can look up the information. In fact, Marty has said you can call the department and he'll give you the number. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember the name of the guy who lives in Crivets and still does their books for them.
Dave Van Zeelen.
Thank you. But Dave will let you know if you have a specific question about one, he'll give it to you. They just don't want to make it public, and they have every right to. They're not misspending money. Quite honestly, I'm offended, and I don't try to use the word offended very often. I'm offended by people on the council who want to sit up here and project an idea that the firefighters are somehow, I don't know if we want to call it embezzling or not spending money properly on what we give them money for, or thinking they have earmarked money somewhere and they're just stashing it and not spending. That is like a true call to their integrity. And quite honestly, firefighters, they are giving, they run into burning buildings, they save lives, they have high integrity, and it is super embarrassing and offensive that people up here sit there and think that because you can't get a specific number, which is available to you, if you would put some effort in and look it up, you can find it. We have to, like Kathy came up earlier and said she found it on the website, the dollar amount. And we've been told that we can go look it up ourselves. Like, it shouldn't have to be provided to us. We should be adults, because we are. We can look it up ourselves. We don't have to be spoon-fed every single thing. There's some work involved being up here. You can look it up. You can figure it out. But we have to stop. I mean, it's just embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing that people up here don't want to renew our fire services. It is a safety concern for our city and for our citizens. These guys are still providing us fire and EMS services, even without a contract, because they are that good of men and women. They have that much integrity. And it's just BS that I don't get what I want, so I'm going to keep asking the same thing, knowing I'm not getting what I want, and I'm going to keep delaying public safety. I vote to approve it as is. It's completely fine. If you need something, make some phone calls and figure out how to get it yourself. I'm done.
Just a point of clarification. The fire department has never said that they wouldn't provide this information. They don't want it part of the operating contract. That's it. You want it, ask for it. The open records portion of it is standard for any contracted entity to a municipality and how it's worded. It essentially puts the onus on us to get the information if we have it, and they'll provide whatever they're required to provide by law. That's it. I mean, everything you're asking for is essentially available. It's just they don't want it in the operating contract. So I don't know what the holdup is. Addressing Alderman Decker on the wording from their attorney. It wasn't a threat that they put on there. It's a fact. I mean, they don't have a contract and they're not required to move forward without one. They are still. They just want to make you aware, and they want to make the public aware that you're putting the lives of our citizens at peril by not approving this because of what you're asking for. That's all they're saying. Alderman Decker? Or, I'm sorry, did somebody down here want?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you, Erica, for giving us all that information about the fire department. Some of that I had no idea about, and we do have an amazing fire department. We have a lot of amazing things in this city, and employees, and also services we offer. However, as elected officials, it is our duty to ask for transparency and we're spending our taxpayers' money. So it is our responsibility to ask questions, and that's what we were elected to do. So nobody should take offense. Nobody should be offended. Nobody should feel embarrassed. That is what we were elected to do. So again, we love our police, our fire, our city workers, everybody. We just, again, as elected officials, that is what we're elected to do, to ask questions. So do not be offended. Thank you.
Alderman Decker.
Well, I want to make it clear that I have no problem with the fire department and the job that they do. I do have a problem with the threat that their attorney put in his letter. It's uncalled for. He explained his position as to why he put forth the proposals he did, that's fine, but he didn't need to basically hold the city at hostage, essentially by threatening to withhold the service. That's on them. That's not on us. I want to approve a fire agreement as much as anybody else. But on principle, I don't think it's a good idea, and I don't think it's good governance to approve something where you're either intimidated into it or bullied into it or bulldozed into it. I don't think that's good government. Do you have a problem with this wording, Rick?
No.
You don't?
No, he's I mean, that's what's going back and forth here, but he is doing he's informing the public through us on here of what the consequences are if you don't approve a contract because of some wording. We don't have a fire contract right now. We're required by state law to offer fire service. Technically, we're in violation of state law right now because we do not have contracted fire service. We could lose, I mean, can we lose our incorporation because if we don't?
I'd have to look into that. I don't know the answer.
I mean, I've never heard of that happening, but I mean, it's one of the basic things you have to do to be a Alderman Bryce.
I don't think that that is threatening in any way. I think that we could all be a little more thick-skinned than that we are not being bullied or forced into or strong-armed into a contract. What has been the holdup has been people wanting to nitpick over getting specific dollar amounts when they can call and ask for it themselves. That's what the holdup has been the whole time. And we are disrespecting our citizens and the fire department by continuing on this merry-go-round of childish behavior.
Alderman Wolf. But before you go, can we not call people names? Let's just try to keep it civil.
And that was kind of my point. I agree with Alderman Bryce's first statement up till the ending part. I'm a big believer in the volunteer fire department. I stated that many times. I ask questions all the time. So, I mean, nobody should take offense. I mean, I'm just up here. That's my job, to ask questions and look for results. And if I have to go to the person to get that information rather than asking the council as a whole to get it, I don't see the point in that. But anyway, the other part is that I also agree with Alderman Schrader as well on her comments. I'm the guy who wants to keep it a volunteer fire department. I think everybody as taxpayers would want to keep it as a volunteer fire department. And it's just my point. I agree with all the good stuff. I don't agree with the other stuff. I want to keep it a volunteer fire department. I want to keep our taxes down. I want to make everybody happy. I want them to have a contract. I ask for things. I don't hold it up on purpose. I ask for things just for answers. And that's where I'm at. So that's all I got.
And thank you for that. Just as a clarification though, everything you asked for is available. The donations are provided to us as part of the contract. They have to provide a quarterly contract or quarterly financials to us. The donations are on there. The open records are still within the contract. It's the wording that, a couple of you felt uncomfortable with. I can tell you that our attorney would be able to, he's gone through this contract. He can tell you the wording on there is the normal wording. So you're getting everything you want. Just, some of you are diving in just because it's not the exact wording you would ask for, but the spirit of what you're looking for is there. And I think that's where the fire department's been advised by their legal counsel to say, here's where our line in the sand is. I mean, and I think that's fair. So, anyone else? All right, roll call vote.
I'd like to propose that we extend for 2 years the former agreement with changing the pay amount to $175,000 and also the provision for the capital expenditure request exceeding $50,000.
I'm sorry, did the capital change? Did I miss that? I thought we had.
We did make that change. It's in the contract.
It is at 50,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think that was a change that was done. I asked for that just to keep things even with how we work as a whole with other things in the government.
So are you seconding him?
No, I'm talking
Okay.
about the 50,000.
Yeah, it's already in
I
there.
was just questioning the 50,000 before
Right.
anybody did anything.
Is there a second to, was that a motion, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if we get a second before we go through all that. Is there anyone seconding this? It dies for lack of a second. Any other word? Roll call vote.
Alderperson Wolf.
Yes.
Alderperson Hamel.
Yes.
Alderperson Decker.
No.
Alderperson Bryce.
Yes.
Alderperson Schrader.
Can I ask a question?
Quick one.
Okay, did we get clarification? I was not at the last meeting. Did we get clarification that this does not affect the dissolution agreement?
It does not affect, and I believe there's verbiage in it that says that.
Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure.
Yes.
Your vote.
Yes to approve, no to not.
Yes, to approve, yes.
Alderperson Dilge.
Yes.
Alderperson Madden.
Yes.
6-1.
Thank you. Approved 6-1. Unfinished business. Ordinance 1507, an ordinance to amend the zoning map and 2020 comprehensive plan. Second reading? That's not right.
Isn't it 2020, 2035?
What? Okay, this is different. I was thrown. Ordinance 1507, an ordinance to amend the zoning map and the 2020/2035 comprehensive plan, RSE to RS-2/Ryan Drive, second reading. This is the zoning amendment for Gulfview Estates. That's the one off of Ryan Drive where we went through this. Do I need Adam to come up and go over this with you guys? Or does that, Adam, come up.
This was the item that was in front of you guys at the last council for public hearing. There were 3 residents that spoke at the public hearing, if you remember. None of them necessarily, without putting words in their mouth, had negative comments. It was more questions and concerns, wanting to make sure that stormwater was being addressed. They had some questions about how access was being handled with the layout of this development. There was one gentleman who lived next door that was asking if this goes forward to have a future road stub to his property. It was a rezoning and a land use amendment from low density to medium density residential, so still saying single family. And it was rezoning from the RSC district to the RS2. The logic behind this one was basically that the south side of Ryan Road is all medium density residential. And this property, which is on the north side of Ryan, so as you go down the road, kind of feels the same. They were asking for that same allowance of lot sizes and density that's found on the south side of Ryan on their property on the north side. We did a plan commission review this last meeting, and they approved it without any concerns also.
Alderman Hamel.
Thanks for answering my questions today when I called. So I think one of my things was because it's low density on the north side and medium density on the south side. And I think a lot of people might have misconstrued Ryan Road as being a dividing point. And what you said about having look the same going down the road made a lot of sense. And maybe making the low density behind the lots. So I guess my question is, with that in mind, can we put a note in the comp plan that?
That's next discussion.
Okay, so even though this.
You can, I mean, if
it would be something that would be in this ordinance to this specific topic, then
Okay.
it could be.
I'll bring it up next time then.
Okay.
And what the analogy we were talking about, and I think this is a kind of good analogy, is people think of school districts, right? If you have friends that live in one side of the road and friends that live on the other side of the road, should those kids go to separate schools? And a lot of times I've heard that argument of, no, right? They're friends across the street from one another. You think that they would be in the same area, right? And I know it's a little different, but that's the idea. Is there's been a lot of arguments to say, should dividing lines when you're separating one district from another maybe be in a backyard in some cases? So that way, like in the case of this, it's the same field down the entire street.
Line's got to be somewhere.
You're right.
Any other questions? All right, roll call vote.
Alderperson Wolf.
Yes.
Alderperson Hamel.
Yes.
Alderperson Decker.
Yes.
Alderperson Bryce.
Yes.
Alderperson Schrader.
Yes.
Alderperson Dilge.
Yes.
Alderperson Madden.
Yes.
Passed.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. First reading of ordinance and second reading, if the rules are waived, ordinance 1508, an ordinance to adopt the 2035 comprehensive plan for the city of Muskego to amend chapter 380, sections 380-1 and 380-3 of the municipal code of the city of Muskego. This is the first reading. I'm going to let Adam dive into what we got from the public hearing, address some of that. Can you go over some of the things that were brought up, some timeframes that were talked about, and what the process would look like from here and what we can all do?
Sure. So obviously, there was very uniform comments, concerns, questions, all stemming to eco-industrial and specifically kind of, I think, how it applies to that southeast corner of the city. So the eco-industrial applies to, I guess I'll start with this. The plan that was approved in 2009, this eco-industrial was approved in 2009. This isn't something new. This isn't something changed. I think the only thing obviously that brought to high alert, which that's not a bad thing, was what was going on in the business site that's been questioned down in this southeast corner of the city. But the plan the text that's there today is literally verbatim from the plan that was approved in 2009. So since then till now, nothing has changed and we weren't proposing to change that.
So the word equal, whatever was in there, it wasn't called something else before? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, literally, every punctuation, text, it was copied and pasted from the 09 document, which was the 2020 plan, into this plan. So this wasn't something the city was trying to do to change anything, to try to fool anyone. Like I said, this was a byproduct of when the plan was done in 09, because it was a complete rewrite from our prior plan, which was the 2010 plan. There was a lot, that plan needed a lot of work, hence why they did a complete rewrite, which got us to the 2020 plan. So at that time, in 2009, when they approved the 2020 plan, this was something that the Plan Commission and electeds, and I guess the public, you could arguably say, thought was a good idea at that time. That doesn't mean that things can't change. The intention of this area was always meant to be, and I think one of the things that's in the text, I mean, when it talks about definitions of eco-industrial, I mean, plans are what define words, right? And eco-industrial is defined in the comp plan document. Eco-industrial is what's called the desired development area, DDA. And what that was is when they did the plan in 2009 for the 2020 plan, the idea was, let's look at a few areas where we're not going to specialize in certain things. We're going to talk about more broad ideas. And it was a byproduct of just planning. The idea of back in 2009, like a lot of times the question comes up, who wants to build by landfill, right? A lot of homeowners don't want to live with their neighbor touching the landfill, right? Landfills are areas that are often around them hard to develop. Same thing with quarries, they're hard to develop. So in 2009, the thought was, what can we do to try to help give these areas a little bit of a, what can make someone maybe want to be there? And who often wants to be around uses that maybe houses don't? The suggestion was industrial uses. So with that being said, the key that you see defined is, there's actually put in quotes, is possibilities for green businesses. The whole idea with eco-industrial, eco was meant to mean eco-friendly. That was the whole purpose of the word eco. It was meant to be things that were more green. The original thought, one example, was the landfill produces methane gas. At the time, the hope was that there could maybe be a business that could tap into the landfill's methane gas and use it rather than just blowing it off into the air. Now, since that time, they now harvest that, and I believe they still send it to Jones Island. I know they did for a long time. But that was the idea. It was trying to be more green. So I think what people have thought it has become, it was intended to do something very different. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't change. And like I said, there were a bunch of comments, but please, anyone correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were all very similar. And there was, I think, a couple options that we can do here to very easily solve this. This plan is meant to be something that's supposed to grow the community, foster the community, bring everyone together, right? It's not meant to divide. It's not meant to provide worries or scares and things like that. So I guess there's, specifically on this topic, because I think that's the first thing to talk about, is the idea of what do you do with it? So option one is you leave it where it is. Right now it applies to two specific areas of the city. One of them is in that southeast corner. It basically applies to all the properties owned by the current landfill, which is approximately 9 separate parcels. It applies to 6 property owners. Right now they're all zoned like ag or rural residential, just north of it. And it applies to 3 conservation properties that the landfill owns. It does not apply to the property, PJ's trucking property that's been talked about. It does not apply to that property. They've never had it. We didn't change the map from 09, so they didn't get it. and someone can't ask to have it. When you make a comp plan amendment, you can't ask to be put in a desired development area. It's not a district, it's an idea, it's a more fluffy concept. They're meant to be these like positive things, and if it's not taken in a positive way, then that's maybe something that we change. And so I think there's two things that I would throw out there that I think we could make either of these changes with no concern to the content of the plan, because they are just this idea out there. Zoning will always prevail. This isn't zoning. I think one option, and the gentleman, I definitely understood what he said when he said the 6 words. I think one option could be to remove those 6 words, because like I said, it's literally one paragraph in the plan that hasn't changed since '09. We literally could strike them out right now and be no worse for the wear and move forward with that recommendation from the council. And I think you could even go as far as if because the underlying land uses are what really matter and the zoning code is what really, really matters, none of those are changing as part of this. I think that if there was even a concern of the council, if the council wanted to remove that whole idea of the desired development area for the eco-industrial, which is shown on the future land use maps as 2A and 2B, I don't think this plan is any worse off or better off with it. Like I said, these desired development areas are just ideas to try to promote positivity in development in the city. And if that's not the way that we feel that there's a benefit to this, I would agree that there's probably not a place for it in the plan then, if that's really the case. It doesn't take away anyone's allowed uses. It does not remove anyone's legally allowed uses. The land use underlying and the zoning are what dictate their allowable uses. So that's kind of my suggestion on that. Like I said, this plan isn't meant to be something that's dividing people. And if that's the concern, you take it out of there, no one's any worse for the wear. Every landowner, whether they've had it or not, loses no rights or gains no rights from it being there or not being there.
I heard the word,
Right.
I had my hand up.
No, that's fine, but let me recognize you first. Go ahead.
I just a quick comment. Someone, I think, used the word toxic or something. Do we have anything in our comp plan about hazards and toxic, environmentally not friendly type stuff?
That's not the tool of a comp plan.
That would be the zoning. Okay.
It'd be zoning or other agencies.
It's actually, yeah. And let me,
Okay, that's what I just wanted to double check that because someone used that word.
And for a couple clarifications, just so for everyone's here, I'm going to ask Adam a couple questions, and some might be softballs, but it might help explain stuff. So if some business came in, and we'll just use what PJ's Trucking was doing with the crushed and it wasn't PJ's, it was someone on their property doing it. It was a different business, but doing the crushed concrete. Is that allowed in any of our zoning districts?
The only district to be allowed in would be the M3, which is landfill and extractive. It's a byproduct of landfill and extractive.
So if someone had that zoning where they're allowed to do that, does that in and of itself allow them to do it? Are there other permits they have to get on top of that?
They would have to go through plan commission from the building site operation plan side. And then they would have to deal with any kind of DNR or EPA regulations.
Yes.
Yeah, the DNR have their own, just like the city of Muskego has their rules, the EPA has their rules, the DNR has their rules. They don't overlap. They work together, but they're independent. So yes, they would have to follow all of those approval process. If there's even something, state approval that we're not even aware of, whatever, that would be something they would have to go.
So you would need the zoning for one, which none of that area has that zoning. On top of that, they would need some either state and or maybe federal approvals for that, right? So inversely, what if the business, without our knowledge, went to the DNR or the EPA and got a permit to do that? Does that give them the right to do it if they don't have the zoning?
I'm not an attorney, but I would believe no.
Yeah, sorry. So it takes all of this for it to work. There's no business there, regardless of what was going on, had permission to be doing that. And as soon as, we can go over some time frames, but we do not have inspectors that go out looking for violations. We are complaint based. And then once we get a complaint, it doesn't mean that we can go walk on that property. You still have probable cause and everything else you have to do. So it's government. Things don't move as quickly as they should. We did take action when we found things out, and we do take action when we find things out. It gets fresh. I know Alderman Wolf gets frustrated with it with a number of zoning violations in his district, and but there's a process, and we have to follow it. We do try. We do care about everyone's safety. I mean, we all live here. I mean, we all represent different parts of the city. So, just so people understand that there are multiple steps, and the likelihood of something like that happening that's completely allowed is unlikely anywhere. Alderman Dilge.
Yeah, could you explain how the property's zoned now and how that's different from, I believe what one gentleman said up there, zoned light industrial?
So the specific property that's part of the comp plan, PJ's Trucking property, is currently zoned M1 light industrial. So zoning is way more specific than land use. So when you look at the land use map, land use map just gives this blanket industrial. That could be M1 or M2, which are two main industrial districts. Landfill is separate, which is M3. He is zoned M1. He requested an M1 zoning back in, I think it was 2023. He did go through the steps. We did follow the statutory requirements as far as notification goes. And he was approved, not for the uses that were all going on there. Some of what was going on there, others that we've since told him he has to stop.
And then he talked about like that one specific property being in a, say, the middle of a pie, so that's zoned light industrial, and then everything around it is zoned something different. And he talked about possibility of zoning it all light industrial. So can you explain that a little more?
So I mean, yeah, zoning, city doesn't rezone properties. Applicants ask for rezonings on properties. So if someone around him wanted to ask for an industrial zoning, they have that legal right. You can't stop them from applying, but that's why they would come to this board as a public hearing. They would go to the plan commission and then come back to this board for final approval. So if someone, just like PJ did on their property, if anyone around him, or anyone, let's just say anyone anywhere in the city for that matter, now things that maybe lend towards being good candidates or not candidates for a rezoning is what does the land use plan show. So there are properties around the landfill behind PJ's property that are shown as industrial. Not taking eco-industrial out of the equation, you still have to have an underlying land use. Every property has to have a future land use. That's part of the state requirement. The area by the landfill, north of it, is shown as industrial. So could someone come behind PJ's property and ask for a light industrial? Yes, they could. Could someone next to PJ's ask for light industrial? They could. Now, it's up to the council if they're going to approve it or not. But the eco-industrial doesn't change that. And like I said, to me, that's maybe an easy addressable topic because it doesn't change anything.
Alderman Decker.
So PJ's is zoned M1?
Correct.
And that specifically does not allow stone crushing?
Correct.
How did he get a permit?
He didn't.
He didn't. Well, the gentleman, a tenant came onto site, unbeknownst to us, and started doing it. And we did find out from the DNR that the crusher actually, I guess, had a permit from the DNR, but that, once again, doesn't matter to us. Our zoning doesn't allow it. So anyone can do something illegal. I mean, we deal with illegal property, whether it's a shed in someone's backyard without a permit, whatever. I know that's a minor scale, but people do stuff they're not supposed to all the time. And when it's brought to our attention, we do our investigations and follow through that process.
Alderman Wolf.
So at this point, we're looking to strike those two things out. I think it was page 117 and 121 that you mentioned. I wouldn't go by the page numbering. I would go by the topic because but I'm saying that's what there was on those pages.
The exact wording says future eco-industrial note, and then there's one paragraph. And then on the land use maps, which there's a smaller version in the document and then a bigger poster version that is around the room now and out in the hall and will be published on the website. Both of those are the same land uses. Those right now have a designation of, I think it's an A, 2A and 2B. One is by our quarry in the western part of the city and the old landfill there, because we have a quarry and a landfill. This isn't the only area that shows eco-industrial. It also applies along the Payne and Dolan quarry and the west central part of the city, as well as around the old retired landfill that's directly across the street from it. So there's two separate nodes, one in the west part, one in the southeast part of the city. So I think there's a couple options the council could talk about tonight. They're all very, very simple. Would be, do we strike any idea that eco-industrial ever existed? Which, when we did this plan, when the 2009 plan was done, there were topics at this stage going forward that they said, we want to change that. And then when it went to plan commission, the council made that noted. It was part of their action. It went to plan commission. The plan commission got rid of it. And this is the process. We can amend this. That's what we're here to do. But the question would be is, do you remove it at all? Which, that's not a big deal if you do it. You just remove some things on the map and remove one little paragraph in the text. That's the only reference to it. Or do you say we're removing it from that southeast part of the city, just reading the room, and leave it in the west part of the city?
Where is that going to affect the Payne and Dolan business that nobody complains about, right? I mean,
eco-industrial gives nobody any additional rights.
They're a good neighbor, right?
The eco-industrial doesn't give them allowed more rights.
Is this gonna impact any economic development we have by getting rid of it?
No, because the underlying zoning is still what it is.
That's why I say, so where are
It
we at
doesn't-
here? We should just
I think
strike it and move on, right?
It was
Both of
given
them.
more importance than it was ever
I
intended,
have-
hence why it doesn't add anything by being there.
I have no objection to that.
And I think that's what we heard from the people that are here tonight. I think that's kind of what they're looking for. So I think it's a win-win situation for everybody, but.
There's no,
So you need a motion then?
We would.
Okay, I'll make the motion then, unless, you have another question?
Just one more question.
You can still get your question.
Oh,
but
okay,
please.
go ahead.
Well, maybe she want to change the motion a little bit, I don't know.
Well, can we go through that motion? It's still on the floor, it's not
Okay,
finalized.
I'll make the motion to do both of what Adam said without repeating it, because he had a different way to say it than I did, so.
Well, we're making a motion to recommend to Plan Commission. So you're making a motion to recommend a change to Plan Commission. This is not a event, that's just to the plan. So you're going to vote on that. The plan itself, this is only the first reading. It's going to go to Plan Commission tomorrow night. It'll come back for your final vote on it, but you can give input into, what we want to go to Plan Commission. That's what we're doing.
I think we're all in agreement on, I don't know, I'm speaking for everybody, but you tell me if I'm wrong.
so make sure I'm correct that you're talking about the motion. You're talking about the idea of just removing it from the text, removing it from the maps in both of the areas, correct?
So when it goes to Plan tomorrow night, this is essentially
Like
gone.
it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And we're talking both subjects.
The text would be removed from the code, from the document. So right now, when you're going through and it says future eco-industrial note, that note is gone. That text,
Right,
which I have on my screen right now, would be completely gone. And then the designations on the map, which are the letter 2A and 2B with the cross-hatching, would have those removed. And then in the legend of the poster map, which is like over in the corner there, that would have the eco-industrial note, there's a little text box about it, that would be removed also. Those are very.
And then are we also doing the producers of composite and recycled materials, striking that
We would
sentence?
remove the whole paragraph, so that goes with it. So not only 6 words go, but maybe 100 words in the paragraph would all go. Yeah, I really don't think it affects anything economic development wise, because it doesn't have the amount of importance I think that some think, and hence, if it doesn't, and if it makes people feel a lot more comfortable, I think it's a very easy solution.
This was a grand idea 15 years ago of maybe this will spark this new technology and something that never came to fruition yet. If it does in the future, we can look at rezoning the property and amending the comp plan at that time, but it's nothing that has to be in there now.
Yeah, I would have no issues with that whatsoever.
So you made the motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Alderman Bryce. All right, so this is simply just to make a recommendation of what's going to Plan tomorrow. This is not approving anything besides what's going to Plan tomorrow.
This is just on
His thing, yeah, because this thing isn't even on the floor yet. It's just what's going to Plan tomorrow night.
So what we'd be suggesting is literally, like we talked about, the removal of it, basically any reference to it for lack of a better term.
So I want to bring up the point with,
Any discussion on the motion to amend or change or any discussion on the motion of what we're presenting to Plan tomorrow?
I want to add in what I was bringing up earlier.
Okay, why don't let's go
I'll
through.
amend it then, or are we can we do a second amendment?
Sure you can. But
Okay,
let's get
let's
this
do
one
that
off.
then,
Let's get
yeah.
this one off. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. You had a question.
Well, I just had a question on, you said this was Adam, you said this was a tenant there. I don't even know what they were doing, but is this like, they just pull up a truck with some kind of piece of equipment and they can just, is this, or is this an elaborate thing? I don't know.
It's portable.
I'm just
'cause they
asking.
do move, like when you go down any federal highway, state highway, right? And you see them doing projects where they're piling up concrete and you see a machine that's crushing it. That's what they were doing.
When Moreland Road was just done and the county tore up all the old road there, they had this big pile of rock and they had this machine that's huge.
They move them. They're not easy to move, but they definitely move.
They crush it on site and then transport it. And that's what this is.
And this, we were told, per resident, and we appreciate that it was removed from the site, the crusher. We actually went out the same day and verified with the drone that the crusher is indeed gone from the site.
And now all the concrete's gone too.
The concrete's still there. That's
I thought
part
the
of what we're
concrete's
working
gone.
on.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of the
I did-
updated site plan that they're working on.
We're working getting rid of the concrete.
Yeah. But the crusher, which was target 1, big target, is not on the site.
Does that
The
answer your
DNR
question?
did tell us they had the permits for the crusher, but that sticks with the crusher, doesn't stick with the property. It moves around wherever the crusher moves. But that doesn't change how we
Doesn't
look
change
at
our
it.
zoning.
Nope.
So they could go somewhere else
Yeah, they're mobile.
and,
But they got to get permission from where they're going. They didn't have
Yep.
permission.
They
here. Just
didn't have
because they have
permission
a
to be
permit
here,
doesn't,
and the zoning doesn't allow them to be there.
technically, it's like, equated to like a food truck permit. You can have a health permit from the county. It doesn't make it legal in Muskego without our permits. Alderman Hamel.
So I guess a comment question first. This plan is a guideline. It's basically a living document that can change. Any council can change it down the road when somebody comes to us, correct?
Yes, we've had changes over the years,
Yeah.
all different reasons. Some of them initiated by council.
Right. So, and what I discussed with you earlier today about maybe making the boundaries between density, low, medium, high, whatever it might be, instead of following the roads, can we add a note in there that, that it does not follow the roads, that maybe go behind it? I don't know how to phrase that.
I think what my suggestion on that would be is rather than recreating the zoning, the land use map, I don't think that's necessary tool because it doesn't necessarily work everywhere, right?
Right.
I think that it would be, my best suggestion is the council, assuming everyone agrees, is make that your policy. You know, you guys hold the keys when someone makes a land use request. Whenever there's a land use comp plan request, it has to come through this board in a public hearing. It has to go through the plan commission. It has to come back to you for final decision. So you definitely get like 2 kicks at the cat, for lack of a better term, right? So the idea is if that's kind of the mentality that the council chooses to implement, because you can put it in the plan, but someone can again change that. You don't, I think you almost pigeonhole yourself too much by putting it in the plan. I think it makes more sense to have that be your board's policy if that's what the council feels, or maybe your personal policy, that you're gonna give more thought to those, or maybe put a little more weight on those, or look at those a little more different. That would totally be up to you. I don't think you wanna apply it everywhere, because there could be occasions where it maybe does not work out for the best scenario.
Yeah, because it did when you and I talked about going down Ryan Road, it made sense, you know, to match both sides of the road, but it may not make sense elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Alderman Schrader.
is there any now, like time frame where, since we're changing this, that the public has to know about it before it goes to, I mean, if we're changing it tonight and then it's different for tomorrow, is there any time frame?
My understanding, as long as
between?
you're not adding, and even in some of those cases, because that's part of this process, no, we noticed it, so everyone had the basis to know what we're talking about. You know, what was in the packet was put out in the packet, but no, I mean, there's many, many times when we approve zoning amendments, comp plan amendments, individual requests, where things change on the fly. That's literally the approval process. If every time something changed, you re-noticed it, some of these processes would take years just to get them approved. That
This is part of this is part of the process on purpose. This is what, you know, we're not supposed to be rubber stamps for what we have on the original plan. We take input, we make adjustments based on what we think our constituents want. That's what we're doing up here.
Yeah.
It doesn't extend the plan and make it more difficult to pass after that. It's supposed to just follow the process.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I was just
mean,
asking
obviously
because
with
I
the
don't know
council giving a, you know, liking the motion, I can only think that everyone's in favor of it, which if it's in favor of it, it's the bulk of what I heard that's addressable in the comp plan from the residents here, that seems like a win-win for everybody, in my opinion. Seems like an easy fix.
Any other comments? All right, this will be going to Plan Commission tomorrow night, and then back to council on what's the date?
24th.
March 24th for final adoption.
Yeah, and what we'll do is for the 24th, we'll definitely have like a redlined or marked up version, just so everyone can see like what was there and what's going away. And that we'll have that in the package, just so there's no question.
This doesn't stop the input process from any of you that are here. If there's something else you want, you have questions on or want, you know, suggestions on, feel free to reach out to Adam, myself, your elected officials that are up here. That still could be incorporated into it as we go through this process. Like I described a little while ago, this is part of the process, and input is a key part of that. So keep that in mind. If you know something came in your mind as we're talking up here tonight, feel free to reach out and we can bring it back to the council for the discussion before we do any final adoption on it. Alderman Wolf.
And they're welcome to join the planning committee meeting and the next council meeting on this, if you feel necessary. But I believe we're heading in the right direction of what you wanted. But if not, come and speak your minds again, so.
And I was gonna say also too, just keep your eye out for the mobile crusher. Because
Yes.
we could change all the rules, but if they can, sad.
All right.
Rick, I do have one quick question. It's kind of off the agenda, but it's on.
Don't go off
I
the
see
agenda.
we have a different person up here. I don't know who it is, why they're here, and what their title is. So I'd like to know that. That's my question.
He's our fill-in city attorney for this evening and next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So does he?
We'll introduce you in closed session. It's actually Attorney
Okay.
Sereni's.
Okay, I just wondering because I see Jeff standing back there and I figured it was an attorney, but I didn't know. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. License approval. Recommend approval of a change of agent, Jessica Larson, for a Class A liquor license held by GPM Southeast LLC, DBA Jets 4527, located at South 69 West 15461 Janesville Road.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. In front of you is the committee reports from the Plan Commission from February 3rd. Any updates from any of the aldermanic liaisons? Seeing none, a motion. Oh, go ahead.
The Muskego Taxi got another chairperson. Like, they added to their board.
Oh,
So that was
nice.
exciting.
All right. How many people are on their board? Okay, odd numbers are good. All right, motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Council meeting is adjourned at 7:43.